Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Bound to Talk Football. Let me turn the music off. There we go. How's everybody doing? It is Thursday. It's not Thursday at 11 o'clock at night. We're recording this Thursday afternoon before Football Friday starts. We are finally at week 9. It's not finally. I'm kind of sad. The season just keeps flying along. I love football a ton. Paul's in the same boat. And it's week 9, man. We already have a playoff field for 2A, 1A, A, and 8 player. We are going to talk about some of those games. I'm not going to talk about every playoff game. We'll do that next week for everybody. We'll just kind of highlight a couple. But 5A, 4A, 3A, the RPI. This is when the RPI is at its best. This is what I think. This is what the RPI is really cool for, is that we create these situations like this. Who's in, who's out. It's going to be a fun night of football. There are a couple, big games tonight. Southeast Polk plays Des Moines Lincoln. A win locks them into the postseason. We expect them to win. Ankeny plays Washington. Cedar Rapids, Washington. Expect them to win. Lock them in. I think that's really the only one tonight that's really of any importance.
Denver and Columbus Catholic, and they're both losing records.
Okay, so that's just one of those week 9 games. So that's another thing. If you are on a week 9 game, we're probably not going to talk about you. Like, if you're a 2A through 8 player team and you're just playing a week 9 game, probably not going to talk about you. We don't want the podcast to go too long. That's what we got. So let's start with 5A. I just have the Bound app pulled up, so we'll just kind of work our way down. We'll talk about some of the important games with the RPI. Good follow is Jeff Linder on Twitter, because Jeff Linder has literally crunched every single number I think you could ever get. And he put on Twitter what happens if your team wins and what happens if your team loses. So there's a really good explanation for a lot of those. We'll start with the first one that I can pretty much straighten up for you. Bettendorf, 8-0, is on the road, taking on Iowa City High at 5-3. Pretty simple. Bettendorf wins, they're a 1 seed. If they lose, they're a 2 or a 3 seed. If Iowa City High wins, they get home field advantage. If they lose, they're going on the road. I think that's pretty straightforward. Paul, Bettendorf won by 1 last week. Iowa City High lost by 1 last week. What do you think? Bulldogs might that game last week. I don't know. It's a win, but
yeah, it's scary. That was definitely not comfortable at all, and it kind of gives you a little bit of you're worried. You're not relaxed, especially with this game. This is kind of scary. You know that Iowa City High can put together games where they just go on a tear, especially offensively. The big thing for Bettendorf is, can they just continue to run the ball at 6.3 yards per carry pace? And then they've been really good off play action. They don't get turnovers. That defense has been really good. But yeah, this is, you said it there. It's not a game to be looking over. If you're
Bettendorf has dominated this game recently. 6 out of the last 2. Or 6 out of the last 2. 6-2 in the last 8. City High loses on the 2-point conversion last week. That was the most broken 2-point conversion play. I felt bad for him because the play was just broke. I don't think it was really anything Lindmar did defensively. Maybe they did, but from my perspective, it looked like an end around that they didn't know what they were doing. And then Bettendorf wins by 1 point in overtime. So I'll roll with Bettendorf. It'd be hard to pick against them. Now I will say, how psyched up will they be? Because you already got home field advantage locked up. Can't lose that. Do you walk in here and think, we can lose this game? Who cares? I don't know.
Kind of saw it last year because they played Iowa City High twice, like back-to-back games at one random. We had 2 games like that last year, right? We
had Lindmar as well, yeah.
And then, so I don't know. One thing I do notice is City High has only forced 2 turnovers this year, which that's not ideal. So I'm going to go with Bettendorf, but like you said, easily could have something like that.
Johnston at 6-2 at the number 4 position in the RPI is going to host 6-2 Sioux City East. This one's pretty simple. I think Johnston can still get home field advantage if they lose, but I think they'd rather win. Sioux City East, if they win, home field advantage. If they lose, they're going on the road. Paul, this game, in my opinion, people see 4 and 8, like the rankings, and they're going to be like, this is going to be a great game. I don't think this is going to be very close, man. Like, even last year, wasn't this game like a blowout from my understanding?
Yeah, last year it was 48-13.
I just don't – I don't know. I just don't think this is going to be a great game. I mean, Southeast Polk beat Sioux City East 48-3.
Yeah, and we know what Johnson did that one week where they just absolutely dominated. So, I mean, this defense has been really good. They've been able to rush it at a competent pace too. I'm talking about Johnson, by the way. I have to go with Johnson. That defense has just been forcing turnovers. Like, I mean, we've talked about it over and over. It's like that 2022 or 2023, 2022 year. Would that be when they went to the Dome? I think it is.
I think
2021 ain't gonna be set.
Yeah, but okay, well, whatever. 2022. Yeah, that's
whatever.
what it was. That's what it was. Yeah.
Yep. So that year, I feel like there's a lot of similarities. Still receiving wise, a little sketchy, but this Johnson team, I think, is legit. And yeah, I agree with you. I don't think it'll be particularly close.
Sioux City East has given up 35 points to Council Bluffs Lincoln. They've given up 34 points last week to Ames. We're both taking the Dragons to roll in that one. Just a quick thought on this one. Ankeny Centennial at 6-2, taking on Urbandale at 3-5. I think you and I both think Centennial should roll with this easily, but the question will be, will Centennial get a home game? I think they can if Sioux City East loses, and then we'll talk about PV and Linn-Mar here in a second. Iowa City West 5-3, taking on Prairie at 3-5. Sneaky game. West could fall out. I mean, there's a chance they could fall out. Prairie obviously doesn't look like they're going to get in, but it's not an easy game. I mean, the only thing is Prairie really doesn't have anything left to play for, and the tough game recently. It's been a tough year, but I don't know. I don't know where I'm going with this. I think Prairie can beat City West, but it's going to be a tough task.
Yeah, the big thing here is the hangover effect. Obviously, West just had an insane win over Pleasant Valley, in which they kind of dominated offensively, and that was eye-opening to a lot of people around the state that at least Iowa City West can put up points against decent teams. But the thing is, I mean, Prairie, you're right. They just don't really have much to play for now. I won't say that getting to ruin a team's playoff hopes or
that's something to play for. Yeah,
there's something there. But Jack Waltz has been playing crazy level, 4-year starter. You don't hear that much in 4A. So I'm gonna roll with the Trojans. But there's a that hangover effect I think will be real. I think that Prairie might jump out to lead in this one, similar to what they did against Bettendorf. But maybe sell it at the end.
I kind of want to group these three together. Waukee will play Council Bluffs Lincoln, who is ranked 18th. Waukee is 16th. Both teams are 5-3. Expect Waukee to win this game. I mean, just Etienne Higgins is a dog. I think he's going to be awesome in this game for Lincoln. It would be a monstrous upset if they were able to pull this off. But I think because it's at home, really helps Waukee. The teams that I was going to say after this, Cedar Falls takes on Davenport West. Davenport West is 0-8. Cedar Falls is 4-4. Cedar Falls will win. They'll move to 5-4 on the year. And then you got Hempstead, who plays Central. Davenport Central should win. We'll move to 6-3. Right now, Paul, Cedar Falls is kind of just waiting. They're kind of in the waiting game. We'll talk about Waterloo West and Ottumwa, but I think the loser of that game gets kicked out. Cedar Falls could get in at 5-4. I don't know. It's kind of a weird waiting game right now for the Tigers.
Yeah, it's that Waterloo West Ottumwa game. I think they're definitely circling as a game to watch if you're on the sidelines that week. Mainly just because I'm looking at Jeff Linder's work right here now. Their best slot that Cedar Falls could get, according to Jeff Linder, is 15th, and that's obviously in the playoffs. So they need to. Right now, they're obviously the first team out, but they're gonna probably take care of business. That.
So they should get in, all things considered.
Yeah, okay. All things considered, they should get in, unless I think they're in trouble if Ottumwa loses, honestly, because at 7-2, that'd be.
What does he have Ottumwa dropping to?
Well, let me check. Worst 19th, best 9th.
So if they win, they could go to 9th. Well, that's if everything works out.
Yeah.
I don't know how Jeff crunched these numbers because I would have been losing my mind.
Spreadsheet.
That's the thing, though. Like, if Ottumwa does lose, I mean, that's 7-2. I mean, have we seen a 7-2 team miss the playoffs. Like, I don't think it's happened. But the fact they're 13th, I mean, man, they got to have.
Okay. I was looking at his numbers a little more. Cedar Falls is in if Ottumwa. I'm pretty sure they're in if Ottumwa. Southeast Polk is a little suspect. Yeah, we'll have to figure it out. That's what the loss is. So
because Southeast Polk beating Lincoln technically isn't a great win by any means. Yeah. What could really hurt Southeast Polk is if, like, I think if Waukee loses or something like that, because then your win against Waukee doesn't look great to the RPI. I don't know, man. It's a mess. My thought process is the winner of Waterloo West, Ottumwa's in. The loser's out. That's just what I'm going to assume. We'll talk about the game here. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I was just going to say there's a bunch of stuff that goes into it that we can't predict. So
many scenarios. Yeah. This one we can kind of give our grasp on. Linn-Mar 5, number ranked 5th, 7-1, taking on 6th ranked Pleasant Valley 6-2. I think this one's pretty straightforward. Winners getting home field advantage, losers going on the road. Mm-hmm. Should be a good game. Obviously, Linn-Mar with the big win last week over Iowa City High. Give me PV. I think Pleasant Valley responds here at home. They can't be happy about last week.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think that Linn-Mar plays a little more into what PV wants the game to be, which is a physical run-the-ball type game, and PV thrives off that. But I think Pleasant Valley bounces back. They know now they need this win for home field, and I think they get it done. As for Linn-Mar, I think you can kind of afford it. I don't think you're that nervous either or. Obviously, you want to win because then you're like a top 3 seed. But I think that maybe you don't, because then they're sending Southeast Polk out east.
We'll talk about that here in a second, because I was looking ahead, trying to think ahead. Let's quickly talk about Ottumwa and Waterloo West. It's our game of the week. 7-1 Ottumwa taking on 5-3 Waterloo West. Ottumwa is led by Kobe Chanthalabon, 116 carries, 1,427 yards, 15 touchdowns. I don't even think he's played every game this year. And then on the other side, you got Brady Dean, Nathaniel Klein, kind of a 1-2 punch quarterback, running back duo. 44 rushing touchdowns this season for Ottumwa, just 12 for Waterloo West. Ottumwa has 8 passing touchdowns, 0 picks. Waterloo West has 10 passing touchdowns, 4 picks. Ottumwa won this game 21-19 last year. When we were talking about it, Paul, you were like, Waterloo West has played the tougher schools. I do agree they have played the tougher schools. But I think Ottumwa, I don't know. What are your thoughts on this game?
It's really tough.
Game. It's tough. Here's the thing. People are going to say this game is a joke. It's not. This is a great football game, and one of these teams deserves to be in. Truly. I think, honestly, they could both get in. But somebody's got to win.
Mm-hmm. And right now, the reason I was talking about Waterloo West, their losses to these CIML schools that we know usually put it down on these teams. Waterloo West just wasn't beat as bad, and we're playing that game where you beat as bad, and that usually bites me in the butt. But 65-13 is hard to overlook compared to 49-21.
You got to think Northwest needed to really win that game. Like, that was back up against the wall. Let's beat up some guys. But you are right. Look at the last 5 games for Ottumwa. I mean, Des Moines East, Waukee Northwest, Ames, Marshalltown, Oskey, Waterloo West, Iowa City, Liberty, Valley, Marshalltown, Waukee Northwest, Davenport North.
Yeah, and these aren't exactly blowouts by Ottumwa against these poor teams. I mean, Ames is a 7-point game, Marshalltown 14-point game. Those are 2 teams that we both would say aren't even close to playoff conversation, and those are close games. So I like Waterloo West in this one, but that last year's score does kind of get me a little bit, but I'm going to stick with Waterloo West.
Brady Dean passed for 185 yards and 3 touchdowns. Matthew Mitchell for Ottumwa ran for 2 touchdowns. They're running back now. Obviously, it looks like he didn't play last year. Cameron Maneri was their main back, 231 yards and 1 touchdown. Basically, what I think is going to happen is we're going to see a lot of points. Truly, I think we're going to see a lot of points, because I don't think either defense is going to light up the scoreboard by any means. Give me Ottumwa. I like the Bulldogs. Keep it rolling. What do you think?
Oh, they do have. Sorry, I said Waterloo West already.
Okay,
But, they do have Cameron Mannery, by the way. He just is their second back. They have two backs, like 1,000
So there
yards.
you go. The last thing I wanted to touch on, Paul, you kind of were touching on it. If everything works out how I think it is, there are going to be some really tough Central Iowa teams that have to go out east. And I'm looking at Southeast Polk that somebody's going to have to get Southeast Polk out east. Ankeny might have to go out east, and Waukee might have to go out east. So, I'm not saying the Central Iowa teams, we expect them to go and dominate, because we're not. But, man, that's going to be fun to watch.
Yep. And honestly, right now, Waukee's in a pretty spot. Like, they have a very real chance to get sent out east, too.
Yeah. It's going to be fun. Going to be fun to watch. We're excited to see it for Class 4 or 5A. Let's jump to 4A. Again, a couple guys fighting for RPI spots, a.k.a. they're fighting for district spots. So, oh gosh, Paul. I don't have it pulled up. I'll have to pull it up on Instagram. Maybe you can pull it up as well, the graphic that I made of the districts. Let's talk about the games first, and then we'll kind of talk districts. Number 6 ranked Gilbert, 7-1, goes on the road to take on the Pella Dutch at 8-0. Gilbert shut Paul and I up last week and kicked down Newton. And I mean kicked down Newton. Pella took care of Bondurant in a close one, 28-21. Pella's undefeated, man. Playing for their coach. Dyers is a really good player. Deers, however you say his name. Got a good quarterback. They're at home. I think Pella wins this game, wins the district title, and goes into the playoffs undefeated. But I'm picking against Gilbert again. I just think the Dutch are a little bit better. I'm so happy for Gilbert that they've locked themselves in, but they're fighting for home field advantage here.
Yep, and I think the Pella's just been very good all year. They've been consistent. They've escaped some one-score ones, but they've been pretty consistent. I think that Pella gets it done. Just you've said it already. I mean, Emmanuel Deer's been a great player, and then Colin Current been great at quarterback. And I think you have a little bit of a problem against a team like Pella just running it with Will Hawthorne, even though how talented he is. So give me the Dutch.
All right, I've pulled up the standings here, so that way I have them. That way I can see them. I'm going to put my phone down so I can see them. If you're wondering how that district is right now, Pella is number 1, Gilbert's number 2, Newton is number 3, and is currently the wild card. Let's just go over the games, and then we'll talk about the wild card. Big game in terms of the wild card. Ballard at 4-4 takes on Boone at 4-4. Ballard obviously led by Jackson Waka, who is unbelievable. 100 tackles officially this year, 13.5 sacks. I got to watch them last week against Des Moines North. That whole team is good. Like, they have 2 sophomores up on the front lines. Like, oh my gosh. And then you got Lucas Boucher and Dylan Bolton on the side for Boone. Ballard has won 3 out of their last 5. Only losses coming to North Polk at ADM, wins over Indianola, DCG, and Des Moines North. And then Boone has lost 4 out of their last 5. Only win coming over Des Moines North. I think Ballard takes care of business here and should get themselves into the playoffs.
Yeah, I'd agree with you. I think Ballard gets it done. They've been a team that's just kind of been on that weird bubble. They have a big win against Indianola, but the defensively led team that's just offense hasn't been there for them this year. And yeah, I think they get it done here. Jackson Waka has been ridiculous.
Our game of the week is going to be a good one. Number 4th ranked ADM goes on the road to take on number 1 North Polk. ADM is 7-1. North Polk is 8-0. The Nathan Feldman-led Comets. He has been on another level. 1,214 yards rushing, 18 touchdowns. He's passed for 587 yards and 6 touchdowns. He is the wrecking ball. I mean, he is the one-man show. And he goes against the other one-man show in Hudson Scholl, who has run for 12 touchdowns on the ground and passed for 12 touchdowns. This is going to be such a good game. It's really going to come down to whose defense is going to be better. ADM can turn the ball over just a little bit. North Polk kind of does the same. What do you think, Paul? I mean, this is going to be a phenomenal football game.
It's a really tough one to predict. This is 2 QBs that are just similar, dual threats that are tearing it up this year. One had to just step in as a junior after what happened to ADM last year. and replace that talent. And they're 7-1 and looking really good offensively. We saw it against Indianola. These big play machines. Defense, obviously, I think it's been a scary thing for ADM for the past couple of years.
Yeah.
And North Polk has been really good. Obviously, this year they escaped Indianola with the 22-21 win earlier. They beat Humboldt, which was a massive win. I like ADM in this one for an upset, kind of, I'd say. And then I think they get it done with the offense. I think it's week 9, and there's a little bit of lax in the air with the North Polk because they know for sure that they're going to be a top 5-6 seed. And I think ADM's playing for a little bit more motivation here. They both know it's a big game, so I wouldn't necessarily go down that road of motivation, but I think that ADM comes in and gets an upset.
I feel like I picked against North Polk a lot this year. Not going to do it here. I think North Polk wins this game. Defensively, they're just better. ADM gives up points sometimes. I mean, they gave up 31 last week to Indianola, gave up 34 to Norwalk. They give up points, and North Polk doesn't give us up as much points. I think it's a better defense all around. Offensively, ADM is better, so North Polk, this is probably one of the better offenses they'll face all year. But I also think it helps they're at home. I mean, it's not a hard place to play, or not an easy place to play by any means. Over there where the cell phone towers are over there in Ullman. So, give me North Polk. I think North Polk wins this game. This is
I think last year this is when Aiden Floor got hurt this game.
I think it might have been, yeah.
28-17 was a score last year. And
this is the district title. So cool to see these games comes down to the district title. But yeah. And then the last game, really worth of noting. It's kind of a slower week in the class. Fort Dodge takes on Spencer. That is another battle for a district spot. Spencer is 6-2. Fort Dodge is 6-2. Cale Bruning is the leader for Spencer, 476 yards passing, 246 on the ground with Miles Robbins on the ground. And then True McBride, just a sophomore, has passed for 17 touchdowns this year. And then Jamarius Green has also run wild on the ground. Fort Dodge, last 5 games, their only losses to Lamar's. Spencer has taken care of business for the most part. They've won 5 out of the last 5. Spencer won this game 45-0 last year. I think the Tigers keep it rolling here.
Yep, I'm going to agree with you. I think Spencer gets it done. With Drayshawn Ross being healthy, maybe Fort Dodge a little more in the conversation this year, but I think that Spencer gets it done.
Now, I will say Lamar's being 5-3. I'd be curious. I don't have the district standings up, but is there a chance Lamar's could get in here because Lamar's beat Fort Dodge?
I think there is a real shot because 6-3 with the win over Fort Dodge.
Fort Dodge, the head-to-head. Yeah. I don't know. That'd be close. How your playoff standings are working right now, in my opinion, I think 4A is pretty much mostly locked up. So in District 1, Spencer and Fort Dodge are right now locked, but we'll see what happens because those two are in the green. Lamar's could get in. If Fort Dodge loses, Lamar's could get in because they have that head-to-head. Not confirmed, but they could. District 2, Decorah and Waverly Shell Rock. There was news this week that Decorah's quarterback is out, most likely for the season because of a collarbone injury. That absolutely sucks. We saw it happen with ADM last year. Injuries suck. There's no way around it. So now Decorah will have to figure something out. But they're going to be top 2. They should win this week. They're going to win the district. Waverly Shell Rock, because they beat Western Dubuque head-to-head, Waverly Shell Rock is currently 11th in the RPI. They are also locked into the playoffs. And then Western Dubuque is the highest wild card. They are currently 8th in the RPI, but they are technically a wild card. In District 3, there was so much confusion about this district. North Scott is technically the number 1 team in the district. They're ranked 10th. Xavier is 9 at 5-3, and Clear Creek Amana is 3rd with the wild card at 12. And everyone's like, well, what the heck? Clear Creek Amana just beat Xavier up front. It's because of the round robin. It's a tie. Everybody is tied. Xavier beat North Scott. North Scott beat Clear Creek Amana. Clear Creek Amana beat Xavier. And because of that, what they do is they turn to the point differential. North Scott has the biggest point differential, then Xavier, then Clear Creek Amana. Clear Creek Amana is going to make the playoffs. They're going to be okay. District 4, Pella and Gilbert, that's for the district title. Newton should take care of business against, I believe, Hoover. I'm not sure who they play. I think it is Hoover because Carlisle plays Bondurant, I'm pretty sure.
Yep.
So Newton should take care of business. Newton's going to get in. And then in District 5, we talked about it. North Polk ADM, they're in. They're a lock. Ballard most likely will get in with a win over Boone. If not, Indianola could be knocking on the door, and or Lamar's as a different wild card if Lamar's doesn't get in. And then finally, a weird district, but district number 6, Norwalk, who is 5-3, hasn't lost a district game. They went 1-4 in or 1-3 in non-district opponents. They've won every game. They're going to win the district because they beat Lewis Central. Those two teams are a lock. So Norwalk, despite being 16th in the RPI, is going to win the district. Won't get home field advantage, but in the playoffs. So you got that, Paul? You got that all written down? I mean, I know it's it's a lot.
The district stuff really gets crazy.
The district stuff gets
the 5A stuff, just the straight top 16.
It's amazing how many people don't know that 3A and 4A aren't 5A. Like, we post top 16 most of the time. So they're like, oh, we're in. It's like, no, technically you're not. But let's go to 3A, where we do have a big district matchup. MLC Floyd Valley, ranked 12th, is taking on Bishop Heelan, who is 6-2. MLC Floyd Valley is 5-3. This one seems pretty straightforward. Bishop Heelan can afford to lose. They won't get home field advantage. But if MLC Floyd Valley loses, I don't think they make it. They're out.
Yeah, it's a big one for MLC. The Dutchmen been having a really good season. Bishop Heelan just got beat by Sergeant Bluffington, who we know has been really good this year. They've been unbeatable. So, big one for both teams, honestly, because I think Bishop Heelan considers himself a team that should have home field, and they do not want to be traveling on the road. So, I think they get it done with that motivation. Kason Thomas has been ridiculous this year, so I'm going to take the Crusaders.
He's huge. Seeing those videos of him run, oh my gosh. Yeah, I think Heelan wins. And it's tough for MLC Floyd Valley. This district's a mess. But yeah, should be interesting to see. But yeah, should be a good one. Another game that's technically has district / kind of RPI things. Clear Lake at 5-3 takes on Charles City at 3-5. I think we both agree Clear Lake should win this game pretty easily. They should get in as a wild card. Perry and Creston. The Creston situation is interesting. I'll talk about it here at the end. What else do we got here? Harlan, 13th, needs to beat Knoxville. Should beat them. Looks pretty good. Carroll, looks like they're probably going to get in. They're 5-3. They take on Boyd and Whole Rock Valley. They should win that game. They'll finish 6-3. Right now, they are a wild card team. So I think they should get in. Other than that, I guess we'll talk about our game of the week. 7-1 Williamsburg at ranked number 5 takes on Benton at 6-2. Both these teams have wins over Solon, and that's really what it's come down to. This is for the district title here tomorrow night. As we record this, I'm gonna be honest, Paul. I don't think Benton has the offense to keep up with Williamsburg. I think their defense is good, but I just don't think the offense is enough to keep up with Williamsburg.
Yeah, I'd agree. I think that this Williamsburg offense has just been too good this year. They're averaging like 42 points a game or even more than that. So it's hard to just expect Benton to be able to keep up with that. I will say, I mean, preseason, imagine we're talking about Benton playing for the district title against Williamsburg. We were not expecting that. It was a Solon Williamsburg district, we thought, but Benton just jumped in.
It just doesn't make sense. How did Xavier beat this Williamsburg team? Because Williamsburg killed CCA, and CCA beats it.
Gotta go week by week, man.
Yeah, it's a week by week. Yeah, every week's a new week.
High school football has become any given Friday. So.
We're both picking Williamsburg, but should be a good game over there in Van Horn.
Shout out Grant Hawker.
Shout out Grant Hawker. 37 touchdowns this year. That is insane. Every other one should be pretty straightforward. Assumption is technically not favored against Mount Pleasant, but I don't think it matters if they win or lose.
Nevada versus Atlantic is a pretty.
Nevada versus Atlantic. I was just about to talk about that one. Nevada is 6-2. Atlantic is 6-3. I guess Nevada or Atlantic's going to play 10 games this year. We have never heard what came about that, but both these teams lost to Harlan. Atlantic's coming off the loss to Harlan. They also lost to Creston. Lost to Winterset. Nevada won this game 42-7 last year. If Nevada doesn't turn the ball over, they're going to be okay. And Anthony Eaton is a very good running back, along with Tyson O'Brien. Granted, stats are a little skewed because they played one more game. Give me Nevada.
Yep, I'm going to take Nevada as well, but Atlantic has won some games, so they've got some fight in there. They barely got rested, and who's we know is good. So give me Nevada, but
Nevada's going to get a home playoff game. It's such a quiet year. Such a quiet year. All right, let's go over the districts because this could get messy. In District 1, Sergeant Bluff, Luton, and Bishop Heelan are locks. Carroll is currently a wild card at 14th. MOC Floyd Valley is 12th, and they are also a wild card as of today, Thursday. If Carroll wins, they're in. If MOC Floyd Valley loses, they're probably out because you're going to be 5-4. That's pretty straightforward. In District number 2, Humboldt, Algona, most likely in. That's pretty much looks like it's set, obviously. Clear Lake should beat Charles City. They're going to get in. They're going to get a wild card. And District number 3, Wahlert Catholic is ranked 3rd. Independence is ranked 9th. Those two are locks. They are in. West Delaware, CPU are out, most likely. District number 4, Mount Vernon and Assumption in. Locks. Lock it tight. Nothing's happening. Those two are going to get in. Assumption is 23rd in the RPI, and they're going to make the playoffs. In District number 5, there's a good chance these guys get 4 bids. Williamsburg and Benton, those two are in. They're locked no matter what happens. Solon is 10th in the RPI. They're not losing this week. They're going to get in as a wild card. If MOC Floyd Valley loses to Bishop Heelan, Grinnell would be the next wild card team in. If Grinnell beats Fairfield, they should beat Fairfield. So realistically, this district looks like it could get 4 teams in if MOC Floyd Valley loses to Bishop Heelan. If MOC Floyd Valley beats Bishop Heelan, then District 1's getting 4 teams in. If not, this district's getting 4 teams in. And then finally, the district that finally starting to work itself out, Nevada and Harlan are at the top of District 6. Despite Harlan beating Nevada, Nevada has the advantage because of the tiebreaker, I believe, or the point differential, excuse me, something like that. No, I didn't say tiebreaker because Harlan beat Nevada. But Nevada is also technically higher in the RPI. Creston, I don't think can get in. I don't think there's a way for Creston to get in. Again, this is all so up in the air. Don't take our words by heart. But yeah, that's what we got. So it's gonna be crazy. It's gonna be crazy. I hope you got your graphic ready for 10 o'clock on Saturday morning, because realistically we should know tomorrow night, shouldn't we?
We should know tomorrow night what teams there are. Okay,
that's what it is.
And then 10 p.m. or 10 a.m. tomorrow or on Saturday, we'll get the matchups.
Okay, which technically we can guess what the matchups will be, but yeah, that means everybody's gonna put their scores in. Amazing. You know how great that was last week when every 2A through 8 player school had their scores in by like 10:30.
That was awesome.
All right, let's go through some 2A playoff games. What do you got, Paul? What kind of sticks out? I'll pick one that sticks out to me, and I'll cheat. And well, no, I won't cheat. I won't pick our game of the week. I think Northeast Mediapolis will be very interesting. Northeast dropped all the way out of the top 10 because of that loss to Anamosa. They got smoked last week. 7-1 Northeast, taking on 4-4 Mediapolis. Gavin Kramer is a do-it-all man. 1,245 yards, 17 touchdowns on the ground, 932 yards passing, 13 touchdowns in the air. Reese Campbell passing on the side for Mediapolis, and Noah Schmidgol, 1,140 yards on the ground. Mediapolis has won 3 out of their last 5. Only losses are to West Burlington and Mid Prairie. West Burlington being a very good team. They only lost by 2. They beat Central Lee, Davis County. They beat Albia. Northeast obviously lost to Anamosa. I don't want to kick a team while they're down, Paul, but I feel like Mediapolis can win this game.
Yeah, I'd agree with you. I think Mediapolis has a really good shot at winning this game. Turnovers kind of bit them early in the season, but I think they figured it out. It's a Northeast team that I think is slipping a little bit. So this is kind of your prime moment. You got a team that's hot coming in, and then you got a team that's slipping up a little bit. The playoffs that did good at the beginning of the season. I'm going to take Mediapolis in a close one, but this is a big first-round game, probably the best first-round game.
It's one of those. It's up there. Yeah.
Only other one. I mean,
what do you got? You got a game you're looking at?
Okoboji versus Western Christian.
I was just about to say, I think that'll be a really good one.
Yep,
What
this
do you
one will
think?
be big. Western Christian has been somewhat competitive this year against some really good teams. I mean, West Lyon, they only lost 13-0, which, I mean, that's impressive against that team. That team's been just murdering teams. Cherokee Washington, they beat 2014. That's one of 2 losses, right, for Cherokee Washington? Or maybe 3.
Yes, yeah.
They've got definitely a real shot at beating Okoboji here, who has not played ridiculous competition. So I'm going to take the Wolfpack to get it done here.
Yeah, I think it'll be close. Not an easy road game by any means. Okoboji has not beaten Western Christian since 2008. Give me the Wolfpack. I'm with you. I think Western Christian wins this game and advances on. I'll go with one. Obviously, record-wise, looks good. Spirit Lake at 7-1, taking on Cherokee Washington at 6-2. This is technically one of our games of the week. This Spirit Lake team is so good. I mean, they are so good. If you haven't seen what they do, I mean, they average like 45 points a game. Their defense is lights out. Cherokee just does not have the offense to even keep up. Like, I'm sure their defense will hold Spirit Lake a little bit better. I just don't see an offense where they can keep up.
Yep. This is a Spirit Lake team who technically is undefeated in their class. They haven't lost.
Yeah, only lost to Algona by 1 point.
They lost to Algona week 1. And that team, obviously, at the time was ranked number 1. Or a week ago, 2 weeks ago, was ranked number 1. So give me Spirit Lake. I think Cherokee Washington just run into a buzzsaw here. But, I mean, the Stecker brothers line has been great.
A lot to look forward to for Cherokee Washington. Your leading tackler is only a sophomore. Blake Lovell, their running back's a junior, and Jackson Paulsrud, their quarterback's a junior. So a lot to look forward to for Cherokee. And they're putting together decent seasons back to back to back. So we're both going to roll with Spirit Lake there. But, yeah, should be good. Any others, Paul, that stick out to you here?
Not really.
I might as well just read them off just so people have them. Anamosa is hosting Waukon. Watch out for Anamosa. That was a good win last week. Kemper, Sheraton, Central Lyon, Georgia, Little Rock, Forest City, Clarinda, Greene County. Greene County beat Des Moines Christian to get in the playoffs last week, and I called that. I went back and listened to what all of our picks were pretty good. We had a couple misses, but I will say anytime we were like, what is Massey ratings now? They knew. I don't think they didn't miss a lot of games. I'll tell you that.
It's crazy.
So that's worth noting. East Marshall takes on Vinton Shellsburg. That's not a playoff game. I'm not going to be able to read all these playoff games because I don't know half these playoff games. All right, I lied. I won't read all of them off, but some good games.
Go to the Bound website, and you will find all of the playoff games there.
Yes, but on the app, we unfortunately do not have – we're getting a new app, but on this current version of the app, it doesn't tell you if it's a playoff game or not from the start. All right, let's go to Class 1A. We'll just start with our game of the week. IHSAA, the Vikings host Hinton, 7-1. The Hinton Blackhawks coming off a win against West Sioux, 14-7. IHSAA has won 3 straight ever since losing to Trainer, 28-7. IHSAA beat Riverside. Don't forget about that. They are led by Camden Sukup and Luke Sternberg, who has 1,300 yards on the ground. Paul, I picked against Hinton against OABCIG, and I tell you what, this don't look half bad for HSTW here.
Yeah, this Hinton team has been very defensively focused team in their games. They've had they've gotten shut out once against Ridgeview. That was their one loss. And some of their big wins, they aren't really lighting up the scoreboard like against OABCIG and West Sioux. I like Hinton here, but this is you're gonna go HSTW. This is a close one. I'll stick with Hinton.
Did you see the rankings aren't popping up on here? I don't know why they're not. Maybe it's just because it's the playoffs and it overrode it. Probably did. Hinton got ranked 3rd in the final rankings for 2A.
I didn't know.
I saw that and I was like, I wouldn't go
really high.
I wouldn't go that far. It'd be a heck of an upset. Technically,
Grundy Center in Dyke, New Hartford, apparently.
Yeah, crazy. Let's see what else we got here. Beckman Catholic 6-2, taking on Sumner Fred at 5-3. This is a Beckman Catholic team that is firing on all cylinders right now. They've won 4 out of their last 5. They beat Regina in that kind of surprising game. Sumner Fred lost to Dyke New Hartford and MFL Marmac, and then rattled off 3 straight against teams they should have won against: Denver, Central Springs, and Applington Parkersburg. Give me the Blazers here to win this one.
This Trailblazers team is just hot. That Regina Catholic is that huge win. Dylan Recker's been great, and Isaac Burlage has been great. I'm gonna take the Trailblazers. I'm pretty confident. Home game too. It's a home playoff game. These first week of the playoffs, usually the home team gets it done.
Yeah. There's a couple good games in here. Grandview Christian at Emmitsburg. The only reason I bring this up is because both teams are coming off losses where you're like, whoa. Emmitsburg's coming off the loss to Manson N.W. Webster. Grandview Christian's coming off the loss to South Hamilton, where they just did not look like themselves. Emmitsburg should win this game, but could be a trap game. You never know. Shout out Grandview Christian, leading rusher, passer, receiver, and defense, all juniors.
Pretty good. Baby.
Keep an eye out. Yep. What else do we got here? Hudson and Manson N.W. Webster. I think we might need to look at this Manson N.W. Webster team a little bit closer. Logan Moline, 801 yards passing, 90 yards rushing, 3 touchdowns, 5 touchdowns in the air. Camden Berkeley, 968 yards rushing. This is a Hudson team that played a gauntlet of it's a tough district. I mean, they beat Columbus Catholic, lost to Alburnett, lost to South Hardin, lost to Grundy Center. Manson N.W. Webster has clearly just turned it on recently. Give me the Cougars.
I think that the strength of schedule here kind of is huge. That Emmitsburg win was huge, and that was big, but we haven't really seen a massive win out of Emmitsburg either. I think it was Central Lions there.
Central Lion, which, I mean, wasn't amazing, but
good. It's a good win. It's a good win, but it's not insane. For the Hudson team, they started off, I believe, 4-0, and then just started playing actual district play, and that district has been insane this year. So I'm gonna go Hudson. I'm gonna give them the strength of schedule look. But they are on the road. I did just say that road teams have a really tough time beating the home teams in the playoffs. But I'm gonna take Hudson here.
Man, there are so many good games. Alburnett 5-3 taking on MFL Marmac at 6-2. MFL Marmac, I think, has won 4 out of the last 5. Yep, they have. Only lost to Dyke New Hartford. They beat Central Springs, Denver, Sumner Fred, and Applington Parkersburg. Alburnett has won 3 out of their last 5. Only losses are to Grundy Center and South Hardin. Did beat Hudson. MFL Marmac, if you remember, they were the team that went to the Dome last year, went to the state title, and their running back, that Quinn McGough, wasn't he the kid that came in and ran for like 200 yards? Yeah. This is the Alburnett team, if you remember, is all sophomores. Their passing, receiver, rusher, and leading tackler are all sophomores. AKA their leading receiver is also the leading rusher. But give me the Bulldogs here at home to win this one.
Yep, I agree. I think the Bulldogs get done. I think that Alburnett's just a little young. Now, I think that's going to play a factor. I think next year is when we're going Alburnett's scary. So give me MFL Marmac.
We go from one young team to 2 young teams. Last one I want to look at for 1A. Regina at 7-1 goes on the road to take on 6-2 Pleasantville. Kyle Tracy is the leader at quarterback for Regina. Braylon Bingham, the sophomore. Again, Pleasantville is young. Passer, receiver, rusher, and defensive tackler, all sophomores for Pleasantville. And then same thing for Regina. I mean, Kyle Tracy's a junior, Savion Miller, their running back's a sophomore, Tate Wallace, their receiver, is a sophomore. Oh boy, let's look here. PV is technically better in a couple stats, but they have not played the schedule that Regina has. So I gotta give the nod to the Regals here.
Mm-hmm. I just dove in to the box score or their box score, their stats. Pleasantville's, it's actually all sophomores or returners. They're literally, it's not even just the leaders. It's
we're talking about. So we're talking about way too early predictions next year.
2 years are going state champions.
It kind of reminds me of Spirit Lake, who kind of Spirit Lake was young,
turned everyone over and over.
Yep.
Yeah. But that being said, I will take Regina Catholic to you.
That was a good win over Wilton last week. Proved me wrong. Pleasantville's beating good teams. It's just I don't know. I like Regina on the road. So all right, Class A. This is gonna be under an hour. How about that? We're flying through. Class A. Let's see what we got here in Class A. Wayne at 5-3 is taking on ACGC. Pretty much expect ACGC to take care of business there. Danville and Bellevue. Danville is 5-3. Bellevue is 6-2. Bellevue's been picking it up recently. Only losses to Maquoketa Valley. Then they beat Starmont, and then they beat North Lynn. Give me Bellevue to win.
Yeah.
Danville had to beat Columbus to get here. But, yeah, give me Bellevue.
Yeah, give me Bellevue as well. They beat North Lynn, which the win hasn't meant as much as it did before, but still a good win. And, yeah, I think they get it done with Cal Boniface. You picked this Danville team.
I know.
I know. You're just fading them like this. It's
it just didn't turn out. Shout out Cale Boniface, junior quarterback, 1,428 yards passing, 13 touchdowns. Jaden Baskins for Bellevue, 747 yards, 15 touchdowns. They're a very even team on the ground and in the air. Gotta like it. Not going in depth on them, but Lisbon takes on Starmont. Lisbon is 8-0. Starmont's 5-3. Won't be an easy game by any means. Lisbon's been pretty fun this year. Let's go our game of the week here. MMCRU taking on Logan Magnolia. Eli Harpenow, just a sophomore. This is kind of another young team, both sides. Two sophomore quarterbacks going at it, and they do exactly the same thing, except MMCRU actually has a running back, where Logan Magnolia kind of likes to just do both at the same time here. MMCRU's on a roll. They've won the last 5. Logan Magnolia only loss in the last 5 is to Tri-Center.
Really good.
What do you think, Paul?
I like MMCRU to get this one done. They just run the ball at a better clip and can also pass the ball at a not as detrimental of a difference. And running the playoffs is important. They have 5.8 yards a carry, and then Logan Magnolia only 3.6 yards a carry on the ground. So give me MMCRU.
I'm with you. Let's go with the Royals. Earlham and Mount Ayr. Blake Reynolds taking on Jackson Ruggles. Two guys that I feel like I have called their name for years. Two teams that have been up and down, I should say. Earlham has won 4 out of the last 5. Barely beat South Central Calhoun, 21-19. Did lose to Riverside, so they're slipping here a little bit. They beat Madrid, but take that win as you will. Mount Ayr has good wins over North Mahaska, Linville Sully, lost to ACGC, which Earlham lost to ACGC too, right? By just 7.
So, yeah, they did.
Yeah, by just 7. Mount Ayr lost 40-14. Are we going to play that game, Paul? Also, Mount Ayr just doesn't kick. It looks like they go for 2 like every single time.
Wow.
Give me Mount Ayr. They're at home. I think that's the difference right here.
Yeah, I think it's just kind of a 50-50 split game, and then they get the home field advantage. Yep, but just for it, I'll go with Earlham. I think Blake Reynolds has been great, and Caleb Smith's great at running back and linebacker, so give me Earlham.
Just a couple others here. I guess we could talk about it. Pekin at 7-1, taking on North Lynn at 6-2. Pekin has rolled through their schedule. Their only losses to Lisbon, but Lisbon's also really the only team they've played. North Lynn has played the likes of Bellevue, Maquoketa Valley, Alburnett. Will Sommerfelt, just a sophomore quarterback, does have to go against a guy who, like Will Adam, who is a passer and a runner. Do I pick the upset here? It's not really it'd be an upset. Give me North Lynn. North Lynn wins.
Dang it. I was about to. I'm copying you. I'm going North Lynn as well. Played tougher teams. I think the only good team that Pekin played, and they lost to. So give me North Lynn.
Linville Sully 5-3, Riverside 6-2. Keep an eye on Jackson Gordon, man. Dude, it's gonna be tough. Gonna be really tough. Is it Jackson Gordon? Did I just mention his name wrong? Yeah, nope. Jackson Gordon.
You got it.
Dude's insane. 1,649 yards and 28 touchdowns. He's crazy. Keep an eye on Riverside. Other than that, pretty much a standard run-of-the-mill playoff. We're going to see upsets. You know, it's what's going to happen. But it's hard to predict them because you never know. All right, let's go 8-player here. There are a couple big ones in here just kind of tossed in. Bedford at 7-1, taking on Belle Plaine at 7-1. Belle Plaine coming off the upset to Iowa Valley. Bedford's just really good, man. And their only loss is to Lennox. So give me Bedford.
Yeah, I'm gonna agree with you there. I think that Bedford gets it done. This Belle Plaine, who'd they beat that was big? Iowa Valley. But yeah, give me Bedford. I think they've been on a tear recently as well. So
does BGM upset Edgewood Colesburg? BGM is 4-4. Edgewood Colesburg is 8-0. Finally got ranked. They did get ranked at 10th. Nobody, and I mean nobody, has talked about this Edgewood Colesburg team. And on the other side, you have Bo Burns, who is a touchdown machine. This is going to be interesting. BGM has won 2 other last 5 losses to Belle Plaine, Montezuma, and Gladbrook Rhinebeck, all playoff teams. And they they beat Melcher-Dallas and they beat Moravia. Edgewood Colesburg's last 5 games beat Midland, Lone Tree, Springville, Calamus, Wheatland, and Key. Oh, what do you think, Paul? Edgewood Colesburg going to hang on here?
I think they do. This is tough because BGM, I mean, a rare 8-man team that's played some really good teams on their skit, like a lot
of good teams.
Montezuma is good, Belle Plaine's good, Gladbrook Rhinebeck's good, Iowa Valley is good. It's just, yeah, that's impressive.
Give me BGM. Wow. They're a local team. They're local around here with Brooklyn and being around Grinnell. So give me BGM.
I'll take Edgewood Colesburg to get it done.
Go Bears. Go Bears. It's going to be a great game. Our game of the week, Southeast Warren taking on Iowa Valley. This is really, Paul, who can recover after a loss. Southeast Valley, a lot of guys were like, hey, check us out, man. We're a good team. I don't disagree you're not a good team, but the last 2 weeks have been rough. Lost to Lennox 55-8, lost to Bedford 63-8. Those are 2 very good teams. Iowa Valley, a team that loved to score 70 points, was held 24 points last week against Belle Plaine. I think Iowa Valley gets back on track here because Southeast Warren's defense gives up a lot of points.
Yeah, I'd agree. I think it's kind of a bad matchup right here, and Nolan Kriegel's been still amazing this year and averaging almost 10 yards a carry as a team. So give me Iowa Valley.
Why do I feel like we haven't had like a 80-yard or 80 touchdown guy this year?
We haven't. Touchdowns are down right now, actually.
Man.
The leading touchdown
crazy stat of all time is, what'd you say?
Leading touchdown right now is 53.
That's Kriegel?
No, it's Bo Burns, your guy.
Oh, it's BGM. That's my guy. Yeah, I mean, I will say, if you want a crazy stat, go look at Cooper DeJean's senior year and see who led the state in touchdowns. And he was in 2A? 1A? I think he had 70 touchdowns.
Even like this year, Race Hyman leads the state in receiving touchdowns, and he's in Class 3A.
Crazy.
Not that much.
I got a trap game for you, Paul. Janesville 7-1 is hosting St. Edmund at 5-3. Are we thinking trap? Because I'm thinking trap.
Yeah.
I think St. Edmund wins.
St. Edmund barely lost to GTRA. They lost to Audubon, who are a good team. So
Janesville did play well against Gladbrook Rhinebeck. I'll give them that. Give me the Gales on the road.
Yeah, I'll take the upset here as well. Honestly, I think they get it done. The Janesville hasn't thrown an interception yet this year. Wow.
Yeah, it's been a pretty good year. Cam plays GTRA. Cam is 6-2. GTRA is 7-1. I'm all in GTRA. Very impressive performance against Bishop Garrigan. Collins Maxwell 5-3, taking on Woodbine at 7-1. So it's going to be a fun week, man. It is going to be a fun week of postseason. Kind of get a hard. We'll really know stuff by next week. That'll really be the big one for some of the lower classes as well. But yeah. That's really all we got. It was supposed to rain here in Des Moines. It didn't rain here in Des Moines. Is it raining in Cedar Falls by any chance?
It's windy, but it's fine right now.
It's supposed to rain. It hasn't rained in weeks. Yeah, so that'll do it for us. Enjoy your Friday night of football. I think it's going to be cold. I think. Maybe.
It took a while. We haven't had like that just
terrible weather playoff
game yet. It's coming.
Let's look while I'm at it.
It's coming because that always screws over some teams. Like the game before the Dome, it's always like 30 degree. It's like 40 degrees and rainy or something.
Low of 43 tomorrow night. So and then next week there's rain in the forecast for next Friday. So
smash mouth football.
That's what we need. We need a rainy playoff game. I feel like we don't get rainy playoff games enough. But yeah, for anyone knowing or wanting updates, tomorrow night we'll be posting the big game final scores for 5A, 4A, and 3A, stuff around the bubble for sure. And then for playoff stuff, it'll just kind of be hit or miss. We'll definitely post our games of the week. We will do that. And then if there's any upsets or kind of notable matchups, we'll be on there. Paul will be on it. Paul will be very busy tomorrow night. Get you some blue light glasses so you don't burn your eye sockets out.
I'll be popping 3 ibuprofen.
I will hop on Discord when I get home from my game. I'm calling Joaquin, Council of Lincoln. I'll get on, help you out. But yeah, it's gonna be fun, man. We set our playoff field tomorrow night. We'll know our matchups on Saturday morning, and then that's it. We'll get set. We'll see what we do next week for episodes. Might do 2, we might do 1. We'll just have to see. But that's all we got. We appreciate everyone for watching. East Paul Area, John Blake Walker. We'll see you in the postseason. See you later.